Anthony de Mesquita, there we go. Have you, Matt, ever got caught filming lifts by anyone?
Have I ever got caught? Yes, I have been caught, and there was one memorable incident. We were doing the maintenance in a building in Potter's Bar, and I think I can probably show you the picture of it. This place, I filmed the lifts and the passenger lifts. It's quite a low quality movie. Didn't really have a high quality camera those days, and I think it was a bit unexpected, so I recorded it on my phone. So these are some of the lifts. Now, in the building next to this one, this building I think is about 6 floors. In the building next to it, the building goes up to about 13 or 14 floors. Now, luckily, there was one of our controllers actually in the lift motor room, so I had a perfect excuse to go in there. So I went to reception, asked for the keys, into the motor room, and this time I had my camera with me. Now, this camera just did photos, it didn't do video in those days. It's quite a long time ago, about 1996, 97 maybe. It might have been 2000, anyway, around that sort of era. Into the motor room. Oh, wow. Now, I thought these were gearless lifts, but they weren't. They were quite large geared lifts. They were made by a company called Leonard, I think. Quite interesting. And of course I had my triangular key, and I opened up the cabinets and I started taking pictures of all the lifts, all the controllers. I haven't got the photos anymore because at one point I deleted my hard drive. I formatted it by accident, and I didn't think I can get them back. I didn't know that you can get files back from a formatted hard drive. Too late. Anyway, I can't display any pictures of them. What happened is I had the cabinets to bits, not to bits, just had them open. I was just taking pictures of the controller. And then behind me, the building manager and the lift engineer walked in behind me without me seeing them. It was very loud in this room. I didn't even hear the door open. First thing I heard was, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And I turned around. Oh my goodness. Building manager and lift engineer. And I said, "Oh, very sorry, I'm just taking pictures." And he didn't say anything. The lift engineer didn't say anything. The building manager didn't say anything. They were just staring at me. Obviously, I knew I was in the wrong, and I just had to leave. So I closed the cabinet up, put my triangular key in, closed the cabinets, and just walked out behind them with them still staring at me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, there's a building manager who's going to make a complaint to the company about me. What the hell was I doing messing around with his lifts? He didn't. I got away with it. But that's the only time I've really been caught in a lift motor room. Being caught filming lifts, I don't really get caught because I always film lifts discreetly. Never really been caught, but I don't really stand out as someone that's doing something wrong, because when I'm filming these lifts, generally I'm at work. So I have a shirt on, I've got trousers on, sometimes I've got a laptop bag with me. So if I'm holding the camera discreetly in my hand, people don't really give me a second look.
Ben McKenna, and here's a lot of questions. Okay, this is copy paste. When you used to be intruder alarm installer, what was the worst installed system you either repaired or replaced?
I have a couple of stories. One of them wasn't really a botched repair, but I've got a story about a master blaster. Master blasters look like this. There was one in a house in the countryside, and I went to do a maintenance, and I set off the alarm, which obviously triggered this master blaster, and these are really loud. At the same time as a horse was going past with a rider on it. The first I know about it is the owner of the house coming back in and saying, "Did you know that I've just scared a horse and the rider fell off?" Actually, no, it wasn't funny. The company had just installed a smoke cloak unit. I've actually got a video on a smoke cloak unit, which involves fluid. And this fluid goes through a heater, and then it blasts into a room and basically obscures everything. So if an intruder was in there, he can't see what he's stealing. But the guys fitted one of these controllers over a server room, right over the racks, and someone put the bottle in. It should be standing upright, and someone put it in on its side. Initially it didn't leak, overnight it did, and it dripped all the way through the equipment cabinets and into the servers. That was a big insurance claim. Question 13, please.
The next question comes from Bino V. How often do you surf lift? And can you upload the ones not yet on YouTube?
Yes, Ben, I have been on a few lifts, but generally I don't like riding on top of them. I mean, all my filming is done really for YouTube and you guys, and I feel that I don't really have to be on top of a lift. So what I prefer to do is get my mini tripod and my clip, which is holding the camera up, got this clip thing, and I put them on top of the lift cart, and then I just set it on to record, and then I go inside the lift and I ride it up and down. If I'm in the motorroom, I can maybe guide it from there as well. So all my footage is done with just the camera on the roof. It's just the way I prefer to do it. So yes, I have surfed a few, and I have been on top of a few which I've put on YouTube. All the ones that are on YouTube are really the only ones that I've done where I've actually been on top of the lift as well. Question 14 is for Harry. Question 15.
Why do you hate eco discs? To me, they are one of the few modern lifts that still has character.
Don't hate eco discs, but I just don't find them very interesting. I'm more into the older generation lifts. All eco discs look the same to me, so if you film one, then you film them all really, except that maybe there's more flaws. There's nothing that stands out that's any different in one eco disc to another one. All make the same noises, the same ride. It's just some have more buttons and some have less buttons. So I don't hate them. I know I make out I hate them in some movies, but I just don't find them that interesting. Really, to be interested in a lift, I've got to be excited about it. And if I get into an eco disc, I just don't really get that excited. And I have no desire to film eco discs because of that reason. I mean, if it was an old lift, then when I've filmed it, uploaded it to YouTube, it's probably something that other people haven't seen. You do some wonderful lift movies of exactly that topic, you know, ones that you're probably not going to find out in public, and then it's interesting to watch, to me, just my opinion. But an eco disc, well, if I wanted to see an eco disc, I'll just go into the town centre, and I can think of about 2 or 3 places where there are eco discs, and they're everywhere.
If you had enough money, would you take over you first, then shut them down so that the world would be free of their crap buttons?
Thing is with new buttons is they've all got to be DDA compliant. They've all got to have those little dots on so people cannot see properly can use the braille, and they're all conform to a certain regulation. To me, that makes them boring. The only ones that I do find interesting are the ones from the Far East where some thought has gone into the design of the button. Don't need to be so compliant as they do over here. So shut them down. Probably not really, because someone else is going to come up with a different button which looks the same.
What was the most exciting adventure you have been on with your dad? Next question comes from Banron. Mr. Matt, have you ever been electrocuted by any lift machinery?
Being electrocuted in a lift motor room is quite serious, really. If you're in a lift motor room and you touch any of the copper wiring in there, and in the old motor rooms a lot of it is exposed, you can just simply touch it, then you'd probably be dead because it's 415 volts, some of that stuff. The other stuff is 100 volts, you've probably got some 240 in there as well. You've got to be very, very careful. I'm very, very careful. I'm an engineer by trade. I know what I'm looking at and what I can touch and what I can't touch. I've never had an electric shock inside a lift motor room. Electric shock outside a lift motor room, 240, yes, and I've had lots of them really, but the one I remember most was me when I was a kid trying to make the Christmas tree lights flash. Now these were not LED ones, these were the bulb type where they're all just in a series loop. So the mains comes in through a bulb, through another bulb, through another bulb, and by the time you get to the end, all the bulbs, I think they're about 3 volts or something, but if you put them all in a chain, then if you get enough of them, they will all work off 240. So I thought that I can get a 3 volt LED, a flashing LED, and wire it in series so that when the LED was lit, all the other bulbs are on, and when the LED was out, because a flashing LED. It's got its own IC chip in there and makes it flash. I wanted all the Christmas lights to flash with the flashing LED. I didn't realise the current was still there, and I got a big electric shock off of it. A learning experience. And the Christmas tree lights never flashed.
Bradley J. Sansom. Everyone, what's the scariest situation you've been in?
Depends if you're talking about experiences with lifts or just generally, but I'm going to give you an answer to both. My scariest situation with a lift was probably my first ever lift surf, which is this video. I was with my family, they were shopping, and I went back to the car to get something, and sometimes you just have to like seize an opportunity and just go for it, and that's exactly what I did. It was a busy, it might have been a Sunday, I think it was, but there was still lots of people in that town centre, lots of people waiting to ride the lift, but they couldn't because I was on top and I'd locked it down, and I could hear people outside on the landings getting frustrated because they were waiting for so long. Well, I did it anyway. That was my scariest situation because first time I've done it, and it was a shopping day and there was people waiting for the lift, and I had to get out, and I had to make sure that no one was on the landing so that I can get out without anyone seeing me. My other scariest situation was probably working on one of our systems, our access control systems. There was an office block in Cardiff, and here are some videos from that. And what I've done is I've just restored one of the controllers which controls half of the building. It was from floors 6 up until 15. On each floor there was 5 or 6 entrances to the floor, each with a card reader on. And I'd restored the setup, but I hadn't restored the card holder database. And all the doors were working standalone, so in other words they weren't reporting to the main system, but they already know who could go in and who couldn't go in. It's all working until I connected them all up to the controller, which didn't have the card holder database, and I had half the building stop working. The telltale signs of something's wrong is the phone rings in the facilities office. Then someone calls over to me and says there's someone stuck on the 7th floor. The phone next to him rings, there's someone stuck on the 8th floor. Then all the phones are going, no one can get into any of the floors. So that's my scariest situation. And then I panicked, and then I sent a card holder download from the system to the controller to get it back working again, which is going to take 12 minutes. I thought, can't wait for that. I'm just going to disconnect it, then plug my laptop in and restore the card holder database. Because I'd just interrupted the first card holder download, the controller locked up completely and I had to restart it. Oh my god, 45 minutes it took before people can get through them doors. It was just mad panic, but what could I do? That's my scariest situation. Question 20, please, Dennis.
How upset were you when you failed to find Siren 10 at Sandhurst Academy?
I wasn't really upset at all. I'd already found the siren on Google Maps, and I could see that it was well within the military academy and I wouldn't be able to access it. The only hope was to film it through the fence. Drove past it. It's a busy road. If I stopped on the side of the road and got near the fence with a camera filming inside, I probably would have been picked up by the police. I wasn't really that upset about it at all, and I was already prepared for a failure on that one.